Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be reading you a very special book called Being Special. This was written by me, Michelle Kemp. So let's begin. This is the first book in the Funny Farm series, which is based on this beautiful farm where I live, in South Africa. At the Funny Farm, Mother Goat had just had 4 babies. She was very proud to name them Kid 1, Kid 2, Kid 3, and Kid Grey. 3 of her kids were brown, Kid 1, Kid 2, and Kid 3, but 1 was grey. Her kids soon grew up to be big and strong. They loved to hop, skip, and play all day long. One day, Mr. and Mrs. Hen came to visit the goat pen to see the new kids. Mrs. Hen noticed Kid Grey, or just Grey as his friends called him. "Oh my," she said, "look at that grey kid. He is so different from the others." There's Mrs. Hen. "Yes," said Mother Goat, "I don't know why he's not the same as his brothers." Kid Grey was very sad and confused. He knew he was grey and his brothers were brown, but he didn't understand why they were different. The whole day Kid Grey was so miserable that he didn't even play butting heads with his brothers, which was his favourite game. That night, as they all snuggled up in the hay, it was getting very cold at night, Kid Grey decided to talk to his mother about why he was different. He went to get a little bit of milk before he went to sleep and asked her, "Why am I different from everybody else?" "Well," said Mother Goat, "because you are special." "But why am I special?" cried Kid Grey. "Well, I don't know," stammered Mother Goat. Then she yawned. It was very late for goats to be awake. "Why don't you go to sleep and we'll talk about it in the morning," suggested Mother Goat. Then she fell fast asleep because looking after 4 kids was very tiring. But Kid Grey couldn't sleep. He just lay awake thinking. He still didn't understand why he couldn't be the same as his brother. It just wasn't fair. Kid Grey didn't want to be special. He wanted to be the same as the others. "Well, I'm just going to have to change," he said quietly to himself. And Kid Grey made up his mind to try and find a way to be like his brothers. So the next day, as his mother and brothers were going out for a walk, Kid Grey said he wasn't feeling well and wanted to stay home. He didn't like lying, but he didn't like being different even more. When Mother Goat had gone out of sight, Kid Grey crept out of the hay and snuck out the pen. He walked across the yard, and the first place he came to was the pigsty. Mrs. Pig was there with her 12 new piglets sleeping next to her. "Ooh," said Kid Grey, "they are so cute. They all look the same. Why can't I be the same as my brothers?" "Well, I don't know," replied Mrs. Pig. "Oh," sighed Kid Grey. "Bye then," and he walked on. Next, Kid Grey found the big barn with the stables inside. There were 5 horses on the farm, but 4 were out riding. Only the old mare was in there because she was too old to go riding. It was warm and smelt of sweet hay. Kid Grey wished he could live here. "Hello," said the old mare. "Hello," replied Kid Grey. "I was wondering if you knew how I could become the same as my brothers." Old Mare was the oldest animal on the farm, so Kid Grey hoped she would be able to answer his question. Old Mare thought for a little while as she chewed a piece of hay that stuck out the end of her mouth. "I don't know," Old Mare said finally, and Kid Grey felt very sad. "But," she continued, "I know someone who might have the answer." "Who?" said Kid Grey quite quickly. "I'm not sure your mother would like you to visit him or even talk about him. He's not good or kind. He doesn't like kids or any other animal, in fact. I probably shouldn't have mentioned him," mumbled Old Mare. "Please," begged Kid Grey, "I don't care how mean he is. I just want to be the same as my brothers. Please tell me who he is and where I can find him." "All right," said the old mare. "Just don't tell your mother I told you, okay?" "Okay," agreed Kid Grey quickly. "His name is Scarecrow, and he lives in that dead white tree at the end of the farm." Kid Grey shivered and murmured, "Thank you." Then he hurried outside. He had heard lots of scary stories about Scarecrow and how he had kids and kids' stew. Kid Gray knew that the big, dead white tree was a long, long way from his pen. But he really wanted to be like his brothers, so he set off across the field of long grass. Kid Gray walked for such a long time, much further than he ever had before, that he was sure he was never going to find the end of the farm. Suddenly he saw the big, white, dead tree in front of him. It had been hit by lightning the year before and looked very scary. No one, not even the bravest animals, liked to go near it, because the ground all around it was black and nothing grew there. It was very spooky, but not as spooky as the shadow Kid Gray suddenly saw. It flew over him and blocked out the sun for a moment before landing in the dead tree. Kid Gray was so scared that his teeth were chattering, but he tried to look like he was a brave kid and walked towards the tree. "What do you want?" called the shadow, who was really Scary Crow. I want to be like my brothers," said Kid Gray, who was after all very scared. "Why?" called Scary Crow. "Well, I don't like being different," stammered Kid Gray. Look how scary Scary Crow is. "Why?" called Scary Crow again. It's just not very nice," mumbled Kid Gray. "Why?" called Scary Crow. "Well, it's just not. Why do you keep asking why?" asked Kid Gray, who was getting annoyed instead of being scared. "Why?" called Scary Crow, who was enjoying watching Kid Gray get so upset. "Stop that!" shouted Kid Gray, who was really angry now. "I've got a serious problem and I need your help." "No, you don't," called Scary Crow. "Yes, I do," yelled Kid Gray. "No, you don't," repeated Scary Crow. "Yes, I do," screamed Kid Gray. They continued yelling until Kid Gray finally said, "Fine, if you don't want to help me, I'll find someone who does." Although Kid Gray didn't know who else he could ask. So Kid Gray started to walk away. "Wait!" called Scary Crow suddenly. "What?" mumbled Kid Gray miserably. "I never said I wouldn't help you," called Scary Crow. "But, you said—" "I meant you don't have a serious problem." "Yes, I do," said Kid Gray quickly. "Let's not start that again, okay?" said Scary Crow quickly. "It can be good to be different and special. If we were all the same, life would be pretty boring. Being special is good. No one is ever really the same anyway. So you see, you don't really have a problem." But Kid Gray was too cross and miserable to listen to Scary Crow. "Well, I don't want to be different," Kid Gray yelled, and he ran away. Kid Gray didn't know what to do now. He just walked around thinking and feeling miserable. He wasn't looking where he was going, and he bumped into a very strange-looking creature. Its right ear was long and flopped to the side, and its fur was all sticking out. "Ow!" she said. "Why did you bump into me?" "I didn't do anything," said Kid Gray crossly. After all, he'd had a miserable day, and his head hurt. "Well, my name's Scruffy. What is yours?" She was a very friendly hare, even to cross, rude kids. "Kid Gray," mumbled Kid Gray. "What are you doing here?" Scruffy asked, because she was very nosy as well as very friendly. Suddenly Kid Gray started to cry. He was sad and tired, and he had walked such a long way, but he was still different. Scruffy was very confused. She didn't understand why Kid Gray was crying. She'd only been collecting carrots for a vegetable stew, and now this poor kid was crying and looking miserable. She went to him and patted his shoulder. "It's okay," she said. "Tell me what's the matter." So Kid Gray explained the whole story. "Well, Scary Crow's right, you know," Scruffy said after Kid Gray had finished his sad story. "I suppose," said Kid Gray, who had calmed down and was ready to listen. "I'm different from my family," Scruffy continued, "and I think it's really cool. My dad never confuses me with one of my sisters, and everyone knows my name." "I never thought about it like that. I guess being special could be fun." Kid Gray smiled, and they walked off towards the pens talking about how much fun being special was. Then Scruffy remembered her dinner and had to say goodbye to Kid Gray, but she and Kid Gray were already good friends and promised to see each other again soon. As soon as Scruffy had left him, Kid Gray began to get scared. He was all alone, and it was getting dark. Suddenly, there was a rustle in the bush near Kid Gray, and out leapt a mongoose. "Hello, little one. What are you doing so far from your home and family? The mongoose grinned and said, Well, I was looking for someone to help me, began Kid Grey. Help you with what? Interrupted the mongoose. So Kid Grey told him the whole story. Well, said the mongoose, whose name was Marty, I think animals that are different are weird, and I bet you look very silly next to your brothers with their shining brown coats. Also, I think the only reason that Scary Crow and Scruffy told you that being special was good was because they can't change and make themselves look like others. But you can change. How? Said Kid Grey, because although he thought Scruffy was right, he still wasn't sure that being special was a good thing to be. Well, said Marty, I could help you, but it's going to cost you. I'm not sure, said Kid Grey. Listen, said Marty, do you want to be the same or not? Because if you want to go on looking different and silly, then that's fine with me. Just don't cry when someone laughs at you and your silly grey coat. Then Marty started to walk away. Wait, cried Kid Grey, who had decided that he couldn't risk being laughed at. Please help me to stop being different. So Marty led Kid Grey through the grass to a big hole full of thick, oozing brown mud. Well, get in, said Marty when Kid Grey hesitated. Are you sure it's safe? Said Kid Grey. It looks very scary. Of course it's safe, said Marty. Now, do you want to stop being special or not? Kid Grey wanted to be the same as everyone else, so he got into the mud hole. Now, put your head under the mud, so all of you is the same as your brothers, instructed Marty. So Kid Grey took a deep breath and sank under the mud. When Kid Grey came out of the mud, he felt weird and sticky. When he looked down at his body, he was very happy. He was brown, just like his brothers. Now I helped you, so I want my payment, said Marty. What do you want? Asked Kid Grey nervously, because he wasn't sure what he could give the mongoose in payment. I want you to bring some hay and some food. You must bring it down to my house in the middle of the field, and don't forget, or else, said Marty menacingly. Okay, stammered Kid Grey, even though he wasn't sure how he'd managed to get some hay and food and bring it so far from his pen. Oh well, Kid Grey thought, at least I'm the same now. I'll figure out the rest later. So he walked towards his home, feeling happy and a bit weird. Kid Grey walked for a long time, and it was very dark by the time he reached the pens. He could see a lot of fireflies buzzing around and lighting up the goat's pen. He was worried about what could have happened and hoped everyone was all right. When he reached the goat's pen, he saw a big crowd of animals around it. What happened? Kid Grey asked the first creature he saw, Mrs. Hen. Oh, it's dreadful, Miss Hen said, without looking at him, because she was in such a fuss. One of the poor baby goats is missing, the grey one, poor mother goat. But I'm here, said Kid Grey, who was confused. Well, yes, dear, said Mrs. Hen, looking at him, but your brother's missing, the pretty unique grey kid. Grey didn't understand how she couldn't recognize him, but then he remembered he wasn't grey anymore. Kid Grey walked towards his mother, who had come back from her walk to discover he was missing, and was very upset. Old Mare was talking to Mother Goat over the fence, explaining everything she had told Kid Grey about Scary Crow. Here I am, said Kid Grey when he reached them. Who are you? Asked Mother Goat and Old Mare at the same time. Kid Grey was amazed they didn't recognize him, even though he was now brown. It's me, Kid Grey, Kid Grey explained. I've changed, so I'm like the others now. Oh my, said Old Mare and Mother Goat together. Did Scary Crow help you? Asked Old Mare. No, replied Kid Grey. A mongoose did. Marty, said the dairy cow. She was dyslexic and confused the letters for her name, so instead of dairy cow, she was diary cow. He is a mean crook, she continued. Wow, what happened to your beautiful grey coat, Grey? Asked Kid 1, who had just woken up. I changed it to be just like you, explained Kid Grey. But Grey, said Kid 2, we were so jealous of your unique grey coat. Ours are all the same. You were so special. Kid 3 nodded in agreement. Now Kid Grey was very sad and confused. It seemed everyone missed his grey coat, and he missed it most of all. He realized he liked being different and not mistaken for his brothers. He wanted to be special again. Oh, why hadn't he listened to Scary Crow and Scruffy? Grey started to cry. Oh, what have I done to my special grey coat? He sobbed. Then it started to rain, and the most amazing thing happened. Kid Grey's coat turned grey again. You see, the rain washed all the brown mud off, but the kids liked to pretend that it was magic because Kid Grey had learnt his lesson. Everyone was very happy, especially Kid Grey, except for Marty, who had been hoping Kid Grey would come back for more mud so he could get more food, once it had washed off, which Marty knew that it would. That's why he was a crook. Kid Grey still gave Marty the food and hay he'd promised him, with his brother's help, because the kids were good and honest, even to crooks. Kid Grey was always happy that he was different, and his brothers stopped being jealous because they realized they were all a bit different, really. Kid 1 had a white patch near his hoof, Kid 2 had a dark brown spot near his eye, and Kid 3 had a speckled tail. And from that day, the kids were good friends with Scary Crow and Scruffy because they had helped Kid Grey and told him the truth, that being special was great. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it.